Hello, good morning. How is everybody doing? We can get started. There are some Zoom things that we were figuring out. A lot of you are already here, and this meeting is being recorded. So we can get started. Just give me 1 second. Uh, However, can you make me a presenter? Just give me 1 second.
You are the host now.
Awesome. See, I also need permissions. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining. This will be a quick and great session. I have left a lot of time for questions. Quick introduction of mine. I'm Mahesh. I have done work on pretty much every fan company out there. I worked at building agents. I worked in AWS building platform where we build a platform that allowed everybody to build agents, or created a platform for building agents. That's what I did at AWS. And in Google, I built agents which automated back office functions like support, sales, legal. And in Meta, I worked on large language models uh, and large recommendation models. I was also in charge of PyTorch distributed, which is used by OpenAI to train their large models. It's an open source framework that allows researchers to do trading on scale. And before that, I have spent 10 years at Microsoft working across different functions in engineering as well as in product. And before that, I worked at Qualcomm. I also founded a nonprofit which helped uh, teams go from nonprofits to use cloud and AI. So that's quickly me. If you're joining me for the first time, welcome. That's my LinkedIn. If you want to just connect, take a picture and send me a request. I post every week. I'm trying to post more often, but at least a couple of times in a week, where I discuss like what's the trend, what's happening in product, what are the challenges product managers are facing. So those are mostly my topics. Let me just be spotlight for everyone. Yes, now I can talk to myself. That's perfect. Thank you. And then uh, let me just admit all. We'll admit at every minute. So if you come late, you pay a minute waiting. And if you look at this, then I have a course that's an Agentic AI course. This is the first course in Agentic AI. We sold out for February, our last cohort. We have opened the new cohort for May. That's what we are enrolling right now. If you're interested, join now because this will be sold out soon. And then you have to wait till June, July. So if you want to join the course, it's the only course which talks about agents, actually build agents with labs. And we have a lot of ML and AI concepts. So we build the concepts, we teach you AI PM skills, and we do it hands-on learning by labs. So everything, that's what the course is about. Uh, and I know you didn't came for the course, so let's continue. Where am I to continue? Rules for discussion. Throw it good. Cameras on if you can. I just love talking to people rather than talking to myself. So if you turn on your camera, I can see whether I'm putting you to sleep or not. Dragos is here, and Raul, thank you, Yana. If you can do that, that's awesome. If you can't do it, I understand. But next time, let's see if we can have an interactive session rather than just a passive session where Mahesh just talks, and everybody's sleeping. So that's what we want to avoid. And REST rules are really quick and fast when I can click on it. Listen, learn, participate in chat. Chat is open. Our team is there. So, and most of people who have done our cohort are there. So they will be able to answer a lot of questions without even you needing me. Share emojis if you like something, if you want to talk about it. Let's do that. For questions, please put your questions in chat. People from our team, Habiba or Karan, I will stop and they will be able to give questions from that. Karan or Habiba, if you're on the call, please take questions and whatever is repeated or you think is more relevant, ask me when I say questions. That's the rules. If you're asking question, raise your hand and we will allow questions in the end where you can directly ask me. Raise your hands and we will go through. With that said, 7 minutes in, let's get to the agenda. What is we're going to discuss today? We're going to discuss types of pricing. We're going to discuss why you should care about pricing, because most of the companies don't ask PMs to do pricing. Microsoft never asked me to do pricing. So why should you care? Or what I learned, why you care, why you should care, and then how should you price your AI agents for growth. So today we're gonna discuss how to price, but we're gonna focus on how can you ensure you get growth through pricing, and then we're gonna discuss details on that, and then we can do Q&A. It's a quick session. We will do 10 minute sessions. I will take questions in between, and then we'll do a lot of time in Q&A. I have designed this in a way that allows us to do a lot of time in Q&A. So if it feels like it's going fast, it's by design, and we can go back and iterate, double click on things during Q&A. I found people learn more by Q&A than by just me iterating, which is already out there. So Garima is here. Let's admit Garima and we get started. However, can you take care of admitting people from now on? So, because I am getting started.
Yeah.
Okay, type of pricing. We have freemium. Everybody loves that. So let's just go through them. This is free. You use Perplexity all the time. You use generative AI on Google. You use Bing. All these are examples of free AI out there for you. Great. Easy to understand. Just do it. Next, I priced a lot of things when I was at AWS. AWS allows PMs or relies on PMs to do pricing. Let me give you a quick takeaway from those pricing examples. I priced this service. I launched this trust and safety or content moderation service on Amazon Comprehend. And we did tiered based pricing. What is tiered based pricing? Okay, we will charge you X amount of money if you use Y amount of service. If you do Z, then we will charge you A. If you exceed, we charge you B. And we reduce the price as you increase your consumption, because we want to incentivize the user to do more consumption. Sounds good? And this is a very highly competitive space. If you're selling APIs, these prices are very competitive. You have seen that almost like similar model is when we sell Gemini, and especially Gemini Fast or Gemini Mini or Gemini Instant, and it's almost free. So that's the kind of pricing you need to offer when you're going into tiered based pricing. So you can have, and once you have more usage, you need to give further discount. So how are you going to make money? You're going to charge for differentiation. So we had this service also where we said, okay, this is great. We will charge you per API, but you can build your custom models. You can train and build things custom for us. There we charge 10x. If you take the charges, this is 001. You have to apply 10 into 5, 50x is the charger if you're trying to get custom models in. And then if you want to do something very specific, like topic modeling, which are news, let's say there are not a lot of news and our website wants to structure them into business news, sports news, political news, we can do that for them, but the charges are again 100x higher. So that's the kind of charges. You start with tiered based, highly competitive, you charge your differentiation, and then something special you offer which nobody's offering. There you have the luxury to just charge as much as you want, or at least charge where you will make money. So one is to get the customers. This is to get the customers. This is to serve customers. And this is to tell what's possible. Okay. So three kind of pricing. Just remember that if you talk this much in pricing, you will sound like somebody who has done pricing. So just say, what's my pricing to get them in? What's the pricing to serve them? What's the pricing to differentiate or make them feel that they are doing something that it was not even possible before? Great. Similarly, I did pricing for Bedrock. Bedrock is another service in AWS, which allows us to host open source models like Claude, our own models like Titan, AWS models like Titan, and we offer agents, where platform which allows you to build agents. We offer Guardrails as an API where you can secure your AI agents, and we help you evaluate your models. So different pricing. Here, again, same competitive prices. This is the second one, which is I'm trying to serve you. So you can take our API, but you have limits. This is another new thing about AI, that nothing lives without limits. So even if I'm a service, I'm Bedrock, I'm giving you a Claude, Llama, DeepSeek, I can't give you give it all the time, everything. So something to remember here is, do all of you have slides? Okay, let me just give you slides so you can follow along and I can go to board. Karan, can you paste the link? Habiba, can you paste the link? Let me
I
just paste
pasted.
it. And awesome, Habiba, you are awesome. Great. Okay, so what is this, right? What is on demand to provision throughput? I think this is another critical thing about AI. So let me just explain that. I think it will be something that most of the people don't know. So let's say Bedrock is a service which allows you to have Llama models, Claude models. Who is Claude? Oh, what company builds Claude models? Anyone?
Anthropic.
Perfect. Llama?
Meta.
GPT.
Great. DeepSeek?
DeepSeek.
Okay, you can do search now. Titan? Okay, great. All these models. Great, great. AWS, perfect. You guys are awesome. So two things, right? What I'm saying is all these have their own pricing. All these prices are free to tiered based pricing, and that's highly competitive because so many models and everybody's competing. But then I said, so that's your first pricing, which is as is. And if you take that, if the customer take as is pricing, they have two limits: TPM and RPM. Anybody knows those? What are those RPM and TPM limits? This is
Transaction
why
per
we
minute.
need to do this session. This is why you need to do pricing special for
Tokens
AI
per
models.
minute.
Request per
Perfect.
minute.
Request per minute, tokens per minute. This means that if you are NASDAQ and right now everybody is trying to get your AI model and you are being hosted on AWS, in the peak times when the trading hours are going on, we will limit you. We will say, sorry, you have exceeded your limit for this minute. Now you can't do anything beyond this limit. If you can't do beyond anything, your service will be down, or you have to hold your customers. Like you have seen ChatGPT saying, hey, I can't do it now, come back in 30 minutes. Remember those early days? That's what they are hitting. Okay, then if you got these, then customer says, I want to be served. Okay, you acquired me. This is an awesome service, but I want to be served. If I want to be served, then we offer them something called provisioned throughput. Provisioned throughput is priced 10x more. Great. Provisioned throughput is priced 10x more, but it increases your limits of RPM and TPM. And you can provision as much as throughput you want based on your demand. You make commitments here. You say, I will need these many requests. We give you a price, and then we charge you 10x more. Good? Okay, what more can I charge? Or what more can I serve? The other way. So let's say I want to serve, and my goal is to serve, which is I go from here to here. I'm now making some money for the company. But then customers will come. I want to take a Llama model, a DeepSeek model, even a Claude model or Titan model, and configure them for my own use case. NASDAQ says these use cases are not working. I want to train them. I want to customize these models. Then I charge them 100x of what I was charging here. And now they get RPM because it's only on provisioned throughput we allow customized models. So already 10x, and then on top of it, you pay for customization and separate hosting because I can't host the same copy of the model. Okay, so we have to hold on to these people. Now we have more than 100 people. We just crossed 100, so I need to be interesting. So help me. Okay, got it. So there was this small thing that I wanted to land. which is specific to AI in pricing. That's where you differentiate or charge more. So you do competitive pricing, but you don't give RPM, TPM limits. And if customers are running their critical workloads, then they have to get to on-demand pricing, this to provision throughput to customization. Good enough? I think good enough. Then we also offered agents. We said you can create agents. It's called Bedrock, agents for Bedrock. And there we said, you know what? Everything is free. You can configure it, you can add it, you can try it. We have built enough tools. You can integrate Lambda functions and all it free, but you pay per API. So we are still charging you these costs, right? And this is a way for me to add or increase usage of these things. So now I have models, but nobody's using them because it's just hard to build anything useful out of just APIs. So I will use Bedrock for agents to create agents which actually solve customer problems. Then they will use more, and that's how I'm getting paid in agents. Then we said one more step. Agents are so hard, it requires people to do coding. So what we did is we said, let's make it even simpler. We said, we're gonna make a no-code experience. And we designed prompt flow. I was luckily PM for that also. So I did the initial version of prompt flow. So something, they just launched it last year, 2024. And prompt flow is a drag and drop system where you can create flows. So you can drag a chat, a model, a RAG function, and just connect them and then say,
Can you switch your screens?
thank you, 2 points. I forget that, and whoever reminds me get points. And if you have too many points, you get to have a one-on-one session with me, right? So please collect your points.
Mahesh, is a prompt flow the same thing as Zapier, but for agents?
Yes, you can think of it, it's like Zapier, or more think like Langflow. It's specifically for building AI specific things. And the restriction is it only allows you to have AWS services. So only AWS, restricted to AWS world. But now you can drag and drop and create your own workflows and deploy them.
It's like
Mhm.
Agent
Okay, now,
Agent Force or
yeah, you can
Salesforce.
Agent for Salesforce, but I don't know, they are like no code. Are they like drag and drop?
Yeah.
Okay, then they copied us. Sorry for that. So now looking back, how to price this one, right? So now you have Guardrails, you added more services. How to price this? We said, you know what? You can create as many flows you want, but every time a flow is getting executed, a complete flow, we will charge you $0.35 per 1,000 transitions. So every single thing here is a transition, and we will charge you for the transitions. Sounds good? Swati getting it? Swati says yes.
It's very
Okay.
hard to estimate.
Mahesh,
You want
Yeah.
to be able to estimate this stuff up front before you build it, right? So you understand
Correct.
your ROI. Is there, I guess you guys have tools to be able to do that as well?
Yeah, so now we have a calculator which allows you to put your flow or say how many things you want to have in your flow, and then allows you to estimate it. When you're a platform, pricing is not at all simple. So completely +1 to what you said. But the challenge when you're trying to build a platform, you can't just price the whole offering. You want to have usage. You also want to have not all the time, or entry should be lower. And as people adopt or use more and more your platform, you want to charge for that. And that's where you see like per API, tier based pricing, or you see pricing on transitions when it comes to flow. Can we simplify that? By all means. But behind the scenes, if you look at each and every unit here, that has complexity in it. And downstairs, we are paying for infrastructure for that. And that's why you're getting charged. And we are trying to be as transparent as possible so that we can offer you more and more as you adopt or the ground infrastructure cost changes. So that's where the challenge is with platform pricing, and you will see more and more of that. Guardrails, Very simple.
Mahesh, what is transition within? So within a flow, is it movement from one node to another, or is it one
Correct.
complete?
So this
I
is
see.
1, this is 2, this is 3. If you create complex flows, those will cost you more than simple flows. That's the idea.
Yeah, can you switch over to the board, please? I think you're showing
Yeah,
all
yeah,
that.
no, I know, but let's just continue here. I just wanted to land this idea here on deck. Then we have guardrails. Guardrails is basically APIs that allows you to check what your model is doing and is it doing the right thing or not. And we gave the basics for free, like checking whether you have hate speech, threats, and others are free. But if you want to build anything custom, if you want to see competitor specific instructions, then we were charging you same token based. And the last is model evaluation. We also have an offering where in prompt flow, you can have a flow and then you can evaluate the same flow across different model types that AWS offers, and also different data sets that you bring. Or if you make any changes in your code, or if you change a data source, then you want to run all your evaluations. And for that, we have a cost. You can have a human in loop. Agents are super cool because they allow you to have human in loop. And if you have humans in loop, then we also offered a pricing for that, which is a human task. Each task is basically 25 a quarter to bring a human and get their advice. Okay.
Nice.
So you're getting the building blocks, which is, hey, I will charge you for the APIs per usage. I will do tier based pricing. The more you use it, the more less I charge you. And this is the bare minimum. Then for every service I build on top of it, I will charge you for that service. Some of these are free, like agents, guardrails. But if I gives too much convenience, which is drag and drop, then I will charge you for each convenience point. And then on top of it, if agents needs to call humans, I will also offer that as a platform and charge you the most, which is a quarter per request. Go ahead. I will stop, take any questions. I know.
Mahesh, how do you reach at this number depending on the number of flows? Is there some process or is there some sort of analysis that goes into? Maybe if you can touch base on the process, I would really appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you for the question. So how you calculate 0.535 per 1,000 transactions? So what we do is we see what are the API calls we are making behind the scenes, and we see our flows. We see what are the most prominent transactions, and we see the API cost behind it. And we do 10x of that. Make sense?
That makes sense. So it's a part of the incremental validation or the prototyping that you do along with your
Correct.
certain
So basically what we are
beta.
saying, if you don't use us, you can save 10x money. But if you use us, we can help you reduce the cost of building something and iterating on something or experimenting with something in time by 10x. And I believe human costs are more than 100x the API cost. So you should not have a problem paying us because we are saving you a lot of hours in coding, which is $60 per hour. I have reduced that. So at least give me 10x more than what I was charging you on my APIs.
In case if the business model is such that I would like to increase my adoption, so this pricing concept would pretty much vary depending on the number of transactions, if that's the case.
Perfect. Completely agree. That's the topic today. So let's get to the topic. Now I laid down a lot of pricing models. Pawan, can we wait till like later?
Okay, correct.
Yeah, let me just go on. This was all I could take. But next one, bundle pricing. What you see also, which I have not talked about, but most of the apps are bundling their AI. This is Grammarly. Grammarly is saying if you go to Pro, then you generate text with 2,000 AI prompts and you get more, adjust your writing tone, rewrite full sentences with a click. So all their AI is selling their Pro. You can use free as much you want, but they have bundled all the AI behind their service. So it's AI is a way to get you into premium. This is what most of the apps will already going into this model. And if they're not going, you will see them going into this model where they will bundle AI as a service to take people from freemium to premium model. This is the last kind, which is very specific to AI agents. People are saying, I will give you an agent for $3,500 and they will book calls for you. This is SDR, and you are charging $3,500 to get 10 calls. If you go to their page, they also will set up only 10 calls in $3,500. But these are the calls they will set up for your business with a potential customer. So if you want 10 potential customers, pay them 3,500, and then you are paying on top of that. So this is outcome-based pricing, which is what everybody's talking about in the AI agent world. We are seeing early signals of that, but that's the other way to price your product. So quickly, we did free, we did tiered, we did quality of service, we did combination of all that, we did bundled, and we did outcome-based pricing. Okay, so you got the idea. Now, why should you care about pricing? Why should a PM worry about pricing at all? PM should worry about pricing. Most of the companies, how many of you actually do pricing? PMs in the house? Anybody is doing pricing? Raise your hands. No? Raise hand if you do pricing as product manager. Okay, there are a few. Thank you, Dragos. Thank Nishita. I didn't do pricing for the first 5 years of my life. Microsoft does not ask us to do pricing. We had Garima can add to that. We had a different team which took the cost, run the market dynamics, did the competitive analysis, and then put a pricing. And we were supposed to adhere to that pricing. So we never cared. You can lower your hands. But looking back, I think I missed a lot not doing pricing, because pricing allows you what we were talking about to create growth, to define different stages in your product. You as a product manager is responsible. PMs are responsible for growing, finding the right product, building it, and then growing it. And if you're talking about growth, then the number one thing that you will run into is you need to define different type of pricing at different stages, and you want to have that handle. Like in the beginning, you have zero data. You don't even know this works, especially in AI world. And if somebody else does the pricing and they're pricing it on competition, they think that you are solving an SDR or sales development representative. You have it. You know, you don't have anything. So how can you actually price it that way? Is you want to have that luxury leverage because your life depends on it. Then you can justify good and bad agent ideas. I have used it many times. There are a lot of ideas in a company. People will just come to you, let's build an agent for this. Let's do the agent do this. Let's do agent do this. And you can just ask one simple question like, how will people pay for it? And that takes a simple, like, let them do that kind of calculation. And you will see most of the ideas will fall into this, which is, we don't know how to price them. Nobody knows how to price them. So if we know how to price them, that means it's of value. So an ROI check. Is there an ROI in building something? It's possible we should go build it. But is there an ROI? That's where I have seen. And third thing is, in interviews, if you're going for PM interviews, this is a question which comes very often, like, how will you price it? If it doesn't come, then you can ask the question, which is, hey, how are you thinking about pricing this model? They ask you like, hey, we are thinking of this. Sometimes, especially startups, have a lot of cool ideas, but they have not thought through pricing. And if you ask the question and offer that as a service, or offer, this is how I have done it in past, or this is how I'm thinking about it, what do you think? That conversation will elevate you or differentiate you in the pool of people. And last is, your engineering needs to do optimization. There is a lot of cost you can save by doing different things. And you need to see which one should we do first. Like, should we have an in-house RAG system rather than buying it from somebody else? How much context are we sending to the model? How much RPMs are we consuming, or what models size do I need? All these decisions, engineering will come for your input if you have an idea of pricing. or if you are the one who is deciding the pricing to customers. These ideas are driven by all engineering decisions, but driven by the pricing of your product. If you can offer 10x pricing because somebody can reduce the context by 10x, that's your justification. So that's why it is critical aspect of your PM journey. And that's why you should focus it. In the course, we talked about it in the end, because there are other important things. But the idea is that if you don't understand, or if you're not doing pricing, you are missing out on the core things. Now, how will you do pricing? Okay, that's what we discussed briefly, because you guys just asked those questions and I gave you. So let's take like 4 or 5 things on pricing. How should you do pricing? So one critical aspect of pricing is getting to your cost. Know your cost. Can you list the cost? Anybody help me? What are the costs that if you're building an AI agent, what are the costs?
The developer cost.
Tool cost.
Developer, dev cost. Okay, tool cost. Can you elaborate? Tool is a loaded word. Can I say inference
It's
cost?
the model's cost.
Yeah, model cost, inference cost. Like every
API
request to the model is a cost.
Infrastructure
Okay.
cost also is there.
Great.
Acceptance.
I need to host the model. I need to infrastructure cost. I need to host the model. I need to host a VM which runs the model. I have different apps. I have load balancers, all these. So infra cost. Great. Anything else?
What about data scientist cost? Cost of a data scientist, which is separate than
Dev cost, data scientist cost. Okay, I put it up there.
Support, customer success, support, customer
Customer
success.
success.
If it's a
Launch cost, getting it to market cost, like it will include
CAC.
everything in terms of marketing.
Customer
CPM.
acquisition cost. CAC.
Yeah.
vector store,
Okay. RAG or anything like special things specifically?
Cost per transaction or cost per
Yeah, that's
token.
inference cost here,
Inference.
right?
Inference.
Inference cost here. We got it. Okay, I think you guys got covered most of it. One thing I will tell you, it's almost impossible to cost on these things. So you need to know all of these are static and they change per inference. This is very, very subjective. And in my real examples, we were never able to find a model which brings all this into your cost. So costing, just make sure your cost has all your inference cost, your RAG cost, your infrastructure cost, and that's your baseline cost. Completely ignore these. This will add on later for somebody else to do. But as a product manager, you need to focus on this. This is, you're trying to do your base cost. Your base cost is mostly your infra cost, your model cost, your inference cost, and all these. And that's where the ideas of tokens come in, input output tokens come in, token input output tokens.
Mahesh,
And
you'll have cost
this
for
is,
using the tools as well. The agents,
yeah,
the
we
tools
have it
that
here.
so RAG is
RAG,
just one of the tools.
infra, infrastructure, right?
You can have a scraper kind of a tool which uses a, let's say, a Serper API, which also has a cost. I mean, different
I'm
tools
with you, Achint.
different cost.
Achint, agree with you. Added it. Agreed. I put it in infrastructure. When I said infrastructure, I just counted them here. But agreed. If you want to keep another one for tools, 100%. So, can you hold? I'm doing this these days because I want to land all the ideas on time. So let me just continue and we will cut back to you on that. Okay. So I think here, calculating this cost requires you to know what request, how many words are you sending, how many words you are getting back, what is the average of that in your applications or in your agent. And then based on that, you can calculate this. We talk a lot about this in the course, but you can do it on your own also. And if you keep attending the community, you will know these costs. So that's getting your base cost.
Basically direct cost. Direct cost,
Correct.
right? Not indirect.
Per usage cost, right? So every time a customer gets value out of it, this is the cost you will incur. And this is the minimum cost, right? So first step is know that number. What is that for your agent? Know your agent per task or per usage cost. Anytime anybody goes to your website and tries it, if you try it, your manager tries it, what's that minimum cost is for you? That's one input or something. If you don't know, then you have not done pricing. I will know that. I will ask you this question. Hey, what was the cost for it? Even if you don't need to do pricing, I need it for you to show me ROI of your product. This is what you are consuming from the company. This is the input. If you are a capitalist system, then this is the input to the capitalist machine, and the output should be more than this, which is X into some multiplier of it. If you're saying I take X and I produce 1 by X, then you will have a hard time in selling this to the capitalist people or the capitalist economies of the world. Okay. Now, what is the pricing strategy? Okay, I got it. I know my cost. Generally, people talk about these as, when I ask this question to people or in my own experiences, people just talk about those tiered-based pricing and all. Those are the table stakes. What I'm looking for is, hey, we launched this, what we did in pricing when we launched for the first time. In the first time, for you is to find usage, find risks, gaps, get eval data. All this you're relying on customers if you're building AI apps. And if you're doing that, then this stage is mostly free. You've seen it all along. When ChatGPT was launched, there was no premium $20 charges. It was just given to you. Perplexity still continues to do that because they're still figuring out, can they hold their customers? So if you want to understand your customers, your first shot is free. Once you have few repeated customers, you start offering usage-based pricing. You say, hey, you know what? I can only offer free for X number of tokens or X number of requests or X number of pages or X number of deep research that you can do with us. Like Perplexity doesn't allow you to do infinite research. They will block it, and then they will offer one thing for these people who are coming again and again, and that's very competitive. So this one is bare minimum. You are basically, whatever cost you are incurring, you are giving that exactly same to your customers. That's why you can sustain the business, and this is what you are relying in future to go less and less, and you're trying to convert them here. Okay, now you have initial product market fit. You're seeing some versions, some customers are asking for it, using it, but also start complaining that, hey, when you are down, the speed is slow. You look at those signals and start offering those premium things, which we did, right? Those RPM, TPM limits. You have those limits here. You assess that, and then you say, now I have a 10x of that. This is the first time you start making money for business. And then you reach a stage where you're not doing any marketing. People are just buying your product by people talking to people. That's your product market fit stage. And at that stage, you can start offering outcome-based pricing, which we talked about. This is where you look at, hey, I am going to look at this problem, see what it takes to cost it. If we don't do it, if AI doesn't, my agent doesn't do it in AI, what's the outcome? What I'm saving customers? Am I giving them a sales lead? What is the sales lead for a pharma company? What is the sales lead of an tax consultant? What's that cost look like? What problem I'm solving and what's the cost of that? And then you can divide it by 100 and start offering an outcome-based pricing. And once you reach this stage, then you have the retention problem. And here you're just looking and watching for competition and playing with your outcome-based pricing and making sure that if you continue to have higher quality, don't reduce your prices. If your competition have similar quality, you're going to just play the competition game forever now. At this point, you are the only one. You have the maximum pie of market. You live here. Got it? So this is the pricing at different stages. Once you know your cost, you can actually go ahead and price your product at different stages. Different for first stage, repeated customers. And then you have to figure out in your strategy, what to do, what not to do. So that's all I wanted to talk about pricing. What we discussed today is we discussed types of pricing. I gave you some examples of my life, how I priced APIs, how I priced no-code tools, how I priced agents, how I gave dedicated services. Then we discussed why you care. And the last what we did is we looked at and we said, how can we go and look at pricing, not as one thing, but many things. Can I land one more thing? 2 minutes. Okay, one last thing, the mistakes, learnings, the most important one. Okay, what are the 3 or 4 mistakes I have seen all along in my journey when I'm building these for customers, or when I have seen people build it and fail? Yeah, I was just trying to see if there was anything else I need to cover. Okay, one is people price for today, do not account for tomorrow. Today, no tomorrow pricing. What is happening? The cost of inference is getting 10x lower every 6 months. Do not price your services on the cost of what is the cost today. I've seen this again and again. Your competition will go ahead and price this at a 10x lower and eat the cost for 6 months to get more market share. That's what intelligent PMs are going to do. They can do these predictions. They can see the trend that GPT 3.5 is almost free at this point. And if somebody would have accounted that, they would have dominance at this point in their product. Perplexity is one example. So price for future and don't price for today. Look at the trend and then go for that. Second thing is, if you're building agent, I have seen RPMs go ahead and come up and say agent is not a single inference call. Agent will have many inference calls. First call, which agent your optimizer or your scheduler will, that's one call. Then you call your right agent, that's second call. Then you check if the job is done, that's third call. Then you say create a reason or plan, fourth call, fifth call. This goes on and on. In an agent journey, there are more than 20 calls. What I've seen people is take the best case and start pricing on best case. They don't do worst case, average case pricing. And if they don't do it, their pricing is much off than our cost. So they come and they say, this is our base cost. And our base cost is basically either 10 times lower than the real cost or 10 times higher. Either way, in 3 months, either you lost market because your competition did pricing right, or you lost, you consumed more than we budgeted. And in that case, either we have to let you go or somebody needs to leave the team for us to be sustainable. That I've seen many times. So idea here is do not price for your best case scenario or worst case scenario. Price for your average. How you find your average will be another class. These are the main 2 that I have seen again and again. And then I have seen people just never change their pricing. Like they wait. Earlier we had models, and if we build models, we don't want to change. We yearly change pricing. At least every 8 to 12 weeks, you need to look at your prices, because the cost, the ground cost, the floor is changing every 8 to 12 weeks. Not taking that in account every 12 weeks is costing people a lot of customers and a lot of trust. So these are the 3 tips based on my experience. I will stop. If you want to leave,